Welcome to our quiet corner today. My name is Lyra, and I am so glad to share this time with you. You spend years studying thick grammar books. You pass the heavy examinations. You feel entirely ready to step into the world. Then you stand in a busy coffee shop in a new city. The person behind the counter speaks. You suddenly realize their words sound nothing like the pages you studied. The grammar is wonderfully loose. The rhythm feels incredibly fast. The vocabulary seems entirely different. Real people do not speak in perfectly constructed paragraphs. They communicate in fragments and feelings and invisible shortcuts. Learning the distance between classroom rules and street reality changes everything. It lifts a massive pressure right off your shoulders. You finally stop trying to sound perfect. You start simply trying to sound human. Classroom dialogues almost always start with a formal greeting. You learn to say, "How do you do?" Native speakers almost never say, "How do you do?" in daily life. It sounds stiff and distant, like an actor in a very old movie. Instead, you hear people say, "How are things?" Just four simple words blending together. How are things? A friend spots you across a park. They walk over with a warm smile and say, "It is great to see you. How are things?" They want to know about your life in a general way. A coworker grabs a coffee next to you in the break room. They lean against the counter and say, "How are things in your department?" It is casual and open. You step outside to check your mail. Your neighbor waves from their porch and asks, "How are things today?" You can answer with a short good or a longer story. Either way, it feels like an open invitation to connect. Mistakes happen constantly in human interactions. When you bump into someone, the textbook tells you to say, "I beg your pardon." Hearing someone say, "I beg your pardon" today feels very dramatic. People usually prefer a much softer approach. They say, "My mistake." You accidentally hand your colleague the wrong paper folder. You realize the error and smile lightly. You say, "Oh, my mistake. Let me get the right one for you." It takes ownership without making a big production out of the moment. You are at a busy grocery store. Your cart gently bumps into another shopper. You instinctively say, "Sorry, my mistake," and keep moving. It is polite, but highly efficient. You give a friend directions to a restaurant, but say the wrong street name. You quickly correct yourself and say, "Sorry, my mistake. It is the next street over." The phrase keeps the interaction completely stress-free. Understanding someone is a core part of listening. When someone explains a complicated idea, textbooks teach you to say, "I understand what you are saying." It is a perfectly fine sentence. It just feels a bit heavy for everyday casual life. People prefer to simply say, "I get it." Three short words carrying a lot of weight. I get it. Your sister calls you to complain about her frustrating day. She describes missing her bus and dropping her lunch. You want her to feel heard. You listen quietly and then say, "I completely get it." The word completely adds a lovely layer of empathy. A manager explains a new software system at work. You nod along as they show you the steps. When they finish, you say, "Thanks, I get it now." It shows competence without wasting their time. A plumber comes to your home to fix a leaking pipe. They explain why the water keeps dripping. You watch them point to the valve and say, "I get it, that makes perfect sense." Sometimes people use a slight variation to show agreement. They say, "I see what you mean." This works beautifully when you disagree slightly but still want to validate the other person. A friend complains about a movie being too long. You enjoyed the film but recognize their point. You tell them, "I see what you mean, the middle part was slow." It builds a bridge between two different opinions. Exhaustion is a universal human feeling. Grammar lessons offer the phrase, "I am very fatigued." If you tell a friend you're fatigued, they might think you're reading from a medical dictionary. Real life offers much more colorful ways to express being tired. People often say, "I'm worn out." The mental image is like an old pair of shoes, used too much and lacking any remaining energy. You finish a 12-hour shift at the local hospital. You sit in your car before driving home. You mutter to yourself, I am completely worn out. A parent chases two toddlers around a playground all afternoon. They sit on a wooden bench and tell another parent, I am just worn out today. Another highly common phrase is I am beat. Just three simple words. I am beat. You drop your heavy bags by the door after a long international flight. Your host offers to take you out for a nice dinner. You smile warmly and say, I would love to, but I am beat. It is universally understood. You finish helping a friend move heavy furniture all morning. You sit on a moving box and wipe your forehead. You laugh and say, man, I am beat. Let us take a break. Being busy happens to everyone every single day. Language books teach you to declare, I am currently occupied. This sounds like a plastic sign on an airplane bathroom door. When humans are busy, they say, I am tied up. Imagine invisible ropes holding you gently to your current tasks. A friend sends a text message inviting you for lunch. You reply saying, I am tied up with meetings until 3 o'clock. It shows you want to go, but external forces are keeping you away. A neighbor knocks on your door asking for help moving a table. You are right in the middle of cooking dinner. You say, I'm a bit tied up right now, but I can help in 20 minutes. It softens the rejection beautifully. We talk about finding comfort in these everyday expressions a lot here on SpeakFlow English, because language is meant to connect us rather than stress us out. Speaking naturally is about choosing the phrases that make others feel completely at ease around you. Another lovely phrase for being busy is my hands are full. You literally have too many things to carry right now. A coworker asks you to take on a brand new project. You look at your desk covered in disorganized papers. You gently tell them, my hands are full at the moment. It paints a clear picture of your workload without sounding dismissive or rude. A family member asks you to organize a big party. You are already managing a stressful week at work. You sigh gently and say, I would help, but my hands are full right now. When work is over, you naturally want to relax. The formal way to declare this is, I am going to rest now. Again, it sounds slightly clinical. Friends tell each other they are going to take it easy. You are packing up your desk on a quiet Friday afternoon. Your manager wishes you a wonderful weekend. You smile and say, thanks, I plan to just take it easy. It implies a total lack of stress. A peaceful, quiet time, maybe reading a good book or watching a favorite movie. No big, complicated plans. You recover from a mild winter cold. You feel better but still slightly physically weak. Your partner asks what you want to do today. You say, I think I will just take it easy around the house. Another gentle word people use a lot is unwind. Like a tightly coiled spring slowly releasing its hidden tension. After putting the energetic children to bed, you pour a glass of water and sit on the couch. You tell your spouse, I just need an hour to unwind. It perfectly captures the transition from a chaotic day to a peaceful night. You return to your hotel room after a busy day of touring a city. You kick off your walking shoes and lay on the bed. You say, it is time to unwind before we get dinner. Deep agreement is a huge part of human conversation. The classroom teaches you to say, I agree with you completely. This is polite and entirely clear. It just lacks a certain warmth. When friends agree deeply, they often say, you said it. It acts as a powerful validation. Someone voices exactly what you were already thinking. You're leaving a movie theater with a large group. One person says that ending was incredibly confusing. You laugh loudly and reply, you said it. It builds immediate emotional connection. You sit in a remarkably dull afternoon meeting. A brave colleague finally points out that the new plan makes absolutely no sense. Later you catch them in the quiet hallway. You nod and say, you said it in there. It shows quiet solidarity. Another warm phrase is, I am with you on that. It creates a comforting feeling of standing side by side. Your partner suggests ordering pizza instead of cooking a big meal. You are tired and very hungry. You say, I am with you on that. It feels much more collaborative than simply saying yes. A coworker suggests ending a difficult project a few days early. You see the wisdom in their idea, you tell them, I'm with you on that, let us wrap it up. Leaving a place requires a certain social grace. The textbook phrase, I must depart now, sounds like a printed train schedule. When people leave a casual gathering, they usually say, I'm going to head out, or they simply say, I should get going. You are at a very noisy dinner party. It is getting quite late. You catch your host's eye and walk over. You smile warmly and say it has been wonderful, but we are going to head out. It sounds fluid and entirely natural. You finish studying with a tired classmate in the silent library. You pack your heavy bag and gently say, I should get going before it gets dark. It signals a clear departure without making it sound like an urgent escape. You sit at a coffee shop with a friend for 2 hours. You look at your watch and sigh lightly. You say, I hate to leave, but I should get going. Waiting is another incredibly common daily scenario. We learn to say, please wait a moment. This works exceptionally well in formal customer service. It works well in professional emails. At home or with close friends, it creates unnecessary distance. People prefer to say, hold on a second, or they say, give me a minute. You are rushing frantically to leave the house. Your friend is waiting patiently by the open door. You realize you forgot your mobile phone. You say, hold on a second, I need to grab my phone. It keeps the energy moving forward. A colleague asks for a specific file while you are typing an important email. You do not want to lose your delicate train of thought. You raise a finger slightly and say, give me a minute to finish this sentence. It asks for basic patience naturally. A child asks a question while you are stirring a hot pot of soup. You look down and say, hold on a second, let me move this pot. Buying everyday things involves very specific language. Books teach you to walk into a store and announce, I would like to purchase this item. The busy cashier would certainly understand you. They would also instantly know you learned English from a traditional book. Native speakers keep retail transactions very simple. They say, I will take this, or they say, I will get this. You stand at a bakery counter looking at a beautiful row of fresh pastries. You point to a chocolate one and say, I will take this one, please. You are in a bright clothing store holding 2 different shirts. You finally decide on the blue one. You hand it to the person at the register and say, I will get this. It is beautifully brief and gets straight to the point. You look at a menu in a fast food restaurant. You step up to the microphone and say, I will get the chicken sandwich. Disagreement requires a truly delicate touch. The textbook gives us heavy conversational weapons like I strongly disagree with your opinion. Using that aggressive phrase in real life often starts an immediate argument. It sounds combative. People soften their disagreement to keep relationships running smoothly. They say, I'm not so sure about that. This gentle phrase introduces doubt rather than direct opposition. A coworker suggests cutting the crucial training budget to save money. You think it is a terrible idea. Instead of attacking the idea, you say, I'm not so sure about that we might lose good people. It opens a calm debate. A friend claims a certain restaurant makes the best food in the whole city. You had a terrible meal there last week. You tilt your head and say, I'm not so sure about that. My dinner was pretty dry. It keeps the conversation totally friendly. Notice how much of our focus here on SpeakFlow English centers around tone and intent. The words we choose act like a volume dial on our emotions, and learning to adjust that invisible dial makes every interaction smoother. Another gentle way to disagree is to say, I see it differently. A team leader presents a timeline that seems completely impossible. You raise your hand slowly and say, I see it differently. I think we need 2 more weeks. It respects their view while firmly offering your own. A family member argues that moving to a quiet town is always better than city life. You love the busy city. You smile and say, I see it differently. I need the constant energy. Encouragement is a beautiful gift to give someone. Textbooks tell us to say, do your best. While do your best is certainly nice, it can sometimes sound like advice from a serious parent to a small child. Friends encourage each other by saying, give it a shot. It frames the difficult attempt as a simple experiment, no heavy pressure. Just try it and see what naturally happens. Your brother is nervous about applying for a new job because he lacks one specific skill. You look at him and say, just give it a shot, they might love your other experience. A friend is staring at a very complicated recipe for baking fresh bread. They feel totally intimidated. You smile and say, give it a shot. The worst thing is we order pizza. A colleague is afraid to speak up in a large meeting. You whisper to them, give it a shot, your idea is really good. Another fantastic phrase is go for it. This brings high energy and strong verbal support. A coworker tells you they are seriously thinking about starting their own small business. You smile widely and tell them definitely go for it. It feels exactly like a cheer. A friend spots a beautiful jacket in a store window but hesitates over the price. You know they saved up for it. You nod and say, go for it. You deserve a treat. Expressing negative emotions is always challenging. We learn early on to say, I'm very angry. Anger is a remarkably strong word. People often use softer words to describe their bad moods. They frequently say, I'm upset. Upset magically covers a wide range of messy feelings. Sadness, disappointment, and anger all mixed together in one word. You receive a formal letter saying your apartment rent is increasing. You call your best friend and say, I'm really upset about this letter. It invites immediate sympathy. A neighbor plays extremely loud music every single night. You knock gently on their door and say, I'm a bit upset about the noise. It states your valid feeling without starting a street fight. You drop your favorite coffee mug and it shatters. You sigh deeply and say, I am so upset right now. Another remarkably common word is frustrated. Frustration is the specific feeling of being unfairly blocked. You spend an entire hour on the phone with a bank trying to fix a tiny error. The line suddenly disconnects. You stare at your silent phone and say, I am so frustrated right now. It is incredibly precise and universally relatable. You try to assemble a piece of complicated wooden furniture. The provided screws do not fit the holes. You throw the small tool down and say, I'm getting really frustrated with this project. Confusion happens every single day. The formal way to declare your confusion is I do not comprehend. Saying I do not comprehend sounds exactly like a robot processing complex data. Humans say I am not following you. Or they say you lost me. These friendly phrases put the responsibility on the journey of the shared conversation. You are walking a mental path together and somehow you got separated. A colleague explains a new filing system using a lot of confusing technical terms. You hold up a hand and say, sorry, I'm not following you. Could you explain the second step again? It is perfectly polite and entirely clear. A friend tells a long, winding story about people you do not know jumping from one event to another. You laugh gently and say, wait, you lost me, who is speaking now? It keeps the social interaction light and very playful. A mechanic explains a complicated problem with your car engine. You look at the oily parts and say, you lost me, is it expensive to fix? Solving daily problems is a core part of living. We study rigid phrases like, I will resolve the issue. This sounds like an official promise from a massive global corporation. Individuals usually say, I will figure it out, or they say, I will sort it out. Figure it out implies a fun puzzle. A minor mystery to be solved through steady effort. You are assembling a new metal bookshelf. The paper instructions are terrible. Your partner asks if you need any help. You wipe your forehead and say, no, I think I will figure it out eventually. A friend asks how you plan to travel from the airport to the remote hotel. You have not checked the bus schedule yet. You say, I'm not sure yet, but I will figure it out when I land. Sort it out brings the pleasant mental image of organizing messy items into neat little piles. It is highly reassuring and signals quiet competence. A manager notices a complicated scheduling conflict where two people are accidentally booked for the same vacation week. They tell the worried team, "Do not worry, I will sort it out by tomorrow morning." You accidentally double book your Saturday afternoon with two different friend groups. You realize the mistake and tell one group, "Let me call the others and sort it out." Making decisions together is a delicate dance. When offering a choice, you learn to say the choice is yours. It sounds like a wise wizard offering a magical quest. Friends deciding on casual dinner plans prefer to say it is up to you. It tosses the minor decision gently into their open hands. You are standing outside two different cafes. One looks very busy and the other looks perfectly quiet. Your friend asks which one you actually prefer. You shrug lightly and say, "I am happy with either one, it is up to you." It shows wonderful flexibility. A colleague asks if they should send the long report today or tomorrow morning. You know the final deadline is Friday. You tell them it is up to you, whatever fits your busy schedule best. It gives them complete professional autonomy. Reacting to a spoken apology is a moment of pure connection. When someone apologizes to you, the textbook reply is often, "Please do not mention it." This feels incredibly old-fashioned today. People almost universally say no worries, or they say no problem. A stranger accidentally steps on your shoe on a very crowded morning train. They immediately look horrified and apologize profusely. You smile warmly and say no worries at all. It instantly diffuses the heavy tension. A coworker sends an important email slightly late. They apologize nervously for the delay. You reply simply saying, "No problem, thanks for sending it." A friend forgets to call you back after promising to do so. They apologize the next morning. You say, "No worries, I know you're busy." It is the invisible social glue that keeps relationships entirely smooth and friction-free. Saying goodbye often involves a promise to connect later. Textbooks teach the heavy phrase, "I hope we maintain correspondence." Real life easily translates this to "let us keep in touch." You are saying goodbye to a beloved colleague who is moving to a new company. You give them a warm hug and say, "Good luck and let us keep in touch." You finish a lovely week at a vacation resort and say goodbye to people you met by the pool. You wave and say, "It was great meeting you, let us keep in touch." It is a warm intention sent into the future. Describing personality is common when meeting people. The formal phrasing is often, "I am a very flexible person." Real conversations replace this with, "I am easygoing." You're describing a new friend to your family. You tell them they are really nice and very easygoing. You are in an interview for a highly collaborative job. They ask how you handle unexpected sudden changes. You smile and say, "I'm pretty easygoing, I adapt quickly." It sounds incredibly natural and relaxed. Measuring progress happens constantly at work and home. Textbooks provide the sentence, "I am nearing completion." Real life simply says, "I am almost done." You're finishing a big quarterly report. Your manager asks for an update. You say, "I'm almost done, I just need 10 more minutes." You are cooking a big dinner for guests. They arrive and ask if they can help in the kitchen. You wipe the counter and say, "No thanks, I'm almost done." Confirming understanding rounds out our daily communication. Textbooks instruct you to say that is logical. Real life says that makes sense. A friend explains why they chose a specific neighborhood to live in based on the local schools. You nod slowly and say, "That makes sense." A teacher explains a difficult math rule using a brand new visual example. You look at the board and say, "Oh, that makes sense now." It is beautiful to see how language breathes and changes when it leaves the printed page and enters the real world. These small phrases carry the weight of our shared humanity. They show our exhaustion, our patience, our confusion, and our empathy. Every time you choose a natural phrase over a rigid one, you step closer to the heart of true connection. Thank you for spending this quiet time walking through these everyday words with me. Take these phrases gently into your daily life and let them settle naturally into your own voice. I wish you wonderful conversations ahead and peace in your continued journey with the English language.